Chapter 1 Auction System, New Book for Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Warcraft Mountains located in the eastern region of the Jiama Empire, the sky was covered with dark clouds, and the rain was raging. The bronze-colored sky thunder flickered among the clouds, like a dragon and snake crawling behind the dark clouds, lighting up the tranquility in the dark night, and filling the original Warcraft Mountains with a bit of fear. The rumble of thunder was like drumming in the ears, deafening. Bloody raindrops fell on the ground, splashing beautiful petals one by one. The blood in the pothole was mixed with rainwater, forming a stream and flowing down. Not far away, a mountain made of corpses piled up came into view, and the endless stench rushed towards the face, making people want to vomit uncontrollably. Hungry vultures hovered in the sky, and some who were not afraid of death even stepped on the corpses to eat. The scene was extremely tragic. Who am I? Where am I? Where is this place? That the one who spoke was a young man in a white robe. The young man was thin, with fair skin, clear brows, and Gu Panzi's eyes were shining brightly. Li Xiao looked at the unfamiliar primeval forest around him, with the expression on his face like the third emoji in his phone, and he froze in place stupidly. He clearly remembered that he was discussing the meaning of life with his young lady just now, but he came here in the blink of an eye. Feelings of oppression, terror, and anxiety arose spontaneously, and Li Xiao touched his body subconsciously to make sure it was flesh and blood, and he felt a little comforted in his heart. As a person in the 21st century, Li Xiao seems to have the answer in his heart: time traveled. Congratulations to the host for discovering that he has successfully traversed. The system is automatically binding, please wait. After hearing the mechanical voice in his mind, Li Xiao was overjoyed. This must be the golden finger that every traveler must have. For him, who has read hundreds of Xuanwen novels, Goldfinger is the celestial hexagram of life. He will get a lot of benefits without any effort, and he will not die no matter what. For example, it's okay to fall off a cliff and then pick up cheats and become a master. The gold finger in the game industry is cheating devices and game modifiers. The binding is successful. Please host to receive the specific information of this system and the world. Hearing the prompt from the system, Li Xiao closed his eyes unconsciously, and the memories kept appearing in his mind like a movie. After a simple understanding, Li Xiao already had the answer in his heart. This is the world of Fight's Break Sphere, and I am located in the most dangerous Warcraft Mountains, where the so-called Dou Huang must leave a finger behind. No wonder it makes people feel depressed. It turns out that this is the Warcraft mountain range. As early as when Li Xiao came into contact with novels, he fantasized all the time, traveling to the world of fighting against the sky, and experiencing the feeling of turning into a horse with fighting spirit. Didn't expect it to happen so quickly. Then Li Xiao muttered in his heart again, and began to understand the main functions of the system. After studying, Li Xiao also discovered the specific ability of the cheat. This is a system for auctioning items. As long as rare items are auctioned, the gold coins obtained will be converted into system points, so that you can buy martial arts and fighting skills of different values in the store. Although it sounds awesome, but just now Li Xiao sensed that his strength seems to be only a 3-star fighter, not to mention the opening of the auction. It is even a question of whether they can leave the Warcraft Mountains alive. The strong in the Warcraft Mountains are respected, and most of the Warcraft like to slaughter humans, so as to get better flesh and blood from humans. Especially when they cannibalize high-level humans, they can quickly upgrade their level, which is why the killing of humans by monsters never stops. System: is there a gift package for beginners? As a traverser, shouldn't you be directly promoted to Emperor Dou? If Emperor Dou can't do it, you can also bring me a Dou Sheng, so that I can walk sideways in the Dou Qi continent. Sorry host, this system does not provide the ability to advance directly, but there are still gift packs for beginners. Congratulations to the host for getting the novice gift package, whether to open it or not. Whether. Li Xiao shrugged. Since he doesn't have this ability, let's take a look at what's in the novice gift pack. As the button was clicked, a dazzling golden light burst out suddenly, and the golden beam of light broke through the clouds in an instant, making it particularly dazzling in the dark night. Congratulations to the host for getting an auction house. You are free to change your name. Congratulations to the host for winning 2 random strongmen from the auction realm, 9-star Dozong. Congratulations to the host for winning the number 19 Qinglian Earth Heart Fire on the different fire list. Seeing the panel in front of him, Li Xiao rubbed his chin. What he cared about the most was not the different flames, nor the auction, but the random 9-star Dozong expert, which was second only to Dou Zun. Li Xiao swiped with his right hand, changing the original reward page to a character page, and the name of the Dozong strongman was also revealed, Linglong, the pinnacle of the 9-star Dozong, fighting skills, demigod finger, advanced heaven rank, 3000 lightning magic, advanced earth rank. Niu Meng, the early days of the 9-star Dozong, fighting skills, lion's roar shattering heaven and earth, intermediate heaven level, regret mountain fist, intermediate earth level. Seeing the identity information of the two, Li Xiao couldn't help but be surprised. He didn't expect that the fighting skills they cultivated were so high. You must know that even Dou Zun may not be able to practice heaven-level fighting skills, only semi-sages and above. Only those who have the opportunity to touch this level of fighting skills. Looking at the entire Jiama Empire, the abilities of the two were invincible, but if you look at Zhongzhou, the Dozong powerhouses are a bit too weak. The Zhongzhou continent has a cloud of powerhouses, and Dozong powerhouses emerge in endlessly. Only the venerable and above are much rarer. With a slight movement of his thoughts, the two figures walked through the air almost at the same time. The leader, Linglong, has a stern face, dressed in white, with skin like white snow, eyes full of autumn water, and 3000 black hairs moving with the wind, making people feel like being frozen. Niu Meng is naturally as tall and mighty as his name. He is 8 feet tall, has a muscular body, his head is smooth, and his muscles are bulging like he can break through the void with a single punch. The two of them half-kneeled in front of Li Xiao at the same time, and respectfully said in unison, "My lord, Pavilion Master." Li Xiao nodded in satisfaction, pretending to be deep and said, "Get up." "Thank you, Pavilion Master." The sense of oppression brought by them is really shocking. After feeling the aura of Linglong and Niu Meng, the high-level monsters around them were too frightened to go forward. They could only hide behind the big tree and secretly watch these strangers. Humanity. Linglong turned her head coldly. She also showed disdain after feeling the killing intent brought by her surroundings. She saw her right hand slightly raised, and all the monsters within meters of Lord Pavilion Master died suddenly, leaving only minced meat all over the floor. Li Xiao was horrified in his heart. He deserved to be the strongest of the Dozong, with extremely terrifying combat power. End of this chapter. Chapter 2, Climbing the Heaven Pavilion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A series of explosions suddenly sounded, and no matter whether it was a fourth-order monster or a third-order beast, it was completely turned into a pool of blood. Out of control. Linglong turned her head and bowed to Li Xiao. Li Xiao also nodded contentedly. With Linglong and Niu Meng protecting him, he can walk sideways in all areas except Zhongzhou, without having to worry about other things. The most important thing now is to find a suitable place to build an auction house. There are many trees here, and with so many monsters dying just now, the air is full of blood, so it is naturally not suitable for continued construction. The rainstorm stopped, the dark clouds also faded, and the bright moonlight once again occupied the sky. Linglong's eyes were deep, as if she could see what the Pavilion Master was thinking, so she immediately jumped into the air, and after looking around, she also found a location that was very suitable for the establishment of an auction house. There are willows hanging by the lake, flowers are in full bloom, and the temperature is pleasant. It is the only good place in the Warcraft mountains. The lake water ripples, sparkling in the moonlight. My lord, my subordinates have found a place that is more suitable for the establishment of an auction house. Hearing this, Li Xiao said, "Then let's go and have a look." Without becoming a fighting king, he naturally couldn't transform his fighting spirit into wings, and he didn't have the long-lost flying fighting skills, so he could only walk on foot. Of course, he could also choose to ask Linglong or Niu Meng to help him, but he refused. After finally coming to the Duqi continent, he naturally wanted to enjoy the rare and strange scenery of the Warcraft mountains. Linglong followed closely behind the Lord Pavilion Master. Under their strong aura, the monsters that had survived before cast fearful glances. Naturally, they dared not take a step forward at this moment, for fear that this human woman would stretch her out. Squeeze yourself to death with your fingers. Not long after, the three of them arrived at the place Linglong had mentioned earlier. The environment here is beautiful, with towering cliffs on both sides, slightly concave inward, shaped like a scallop, and narrower as you go up. The color of the cliff is peculiar, shiny and embellished with the light of pearls and jade. It happened that a ray of twilight slanted into the gorge, shone on the wall, and reflected repeatedly. Such a scene is absolutely rare in this world full of killings. Li Xiao is also quite satisfied. It is indeed a good idea to build an auction here, so the arrangement system placed the rewarded auction house here, and with a flash of golden light, a huge building appeared from the void and crashed to the ground. The powerful shock wave made a deafening sound like a meteorite hitting the earth. It was even said that 100-meter-high dust was raised on the ground where it had just rained. There is a strange treasure born. The auction house is similar to a pagoda in an ancient costume TV series, with a total of 6 floors, and densely packed runes are carved on each floor, adding a bit of mystery to the already majestic auction house. The sacred and inviolable aura also startled the birds and beasts in all directions, and they all showed terrifying expressions. The door plaque on the first floor was empty, and it was obvious that Li Xiao had to come up with his own name. After thinking about it, Li Xiao said, "Just call, let's go to Qinga." Ascending to Qinga, reaching the sky in one step, can be described as full of domineering. As soon as the voice fell, 3 traditional Chinese characters appeared on the plaque, Dengtian Pavilion. Li Xiao took a step forward contentedly, and Niu Meng opened the door in a smart way, and made a gesture of invitation with a smile. The first floor of Dengtian Pavilion is not big, it can accommodate about 200 people, and the upper part is the compartment. As a traveler, he naturally knows the meaning of the compartment. It is mainly prepared for big customers, such as the Douhuangdou Zone realm powerhouses. They come from all over the world. Naturally they are extremely arrogant. If they sit with ordinary Dou Shi, wouldn't it be embarrassing? The hall on the first floor is sacred and noble. In the center is an auction table, all of which are made of high-quality crystal stones. Even the hammers used in the auction are made of pure gold. You can imagine how reliable the system is. The second and third floors are all single rooms, and there are soundproof panels all around. No matter what sounds happen, the other party can't hear them, and the price increase only needs to be done through the speaking mouth, which not only protects the privacy of the auctioneers, but also makes them safer feel, thus spending more gold coins. The second is the fourth floor. The fourth floor is already a lounge, and it is good to place some daily necessities. In the world of Dou Qi continent, there is no fancy magic, but only Dou Qi multiplied to its peak. Here, the real strong speak with their strength. Moreover, the most important point is that cultivating here will get twice the result with half the effort. Even one day of practicing here will take 7 days outside. Li Xiao cleared his throat. Linglong, Niu Meng. Subordinates are here. Starting today, the Dengtian Pavilion auction will be officially established. Linglong will be responsible for everything in the Dengtian Pavilion, and Niu Meng will be responsible for everything outside the Dengtian Pavilion. Anyone who trespasses here will be killed without mercy. Yes. The two bowed at the same time. Although the two are powerful, they are rewards given to Li Xiao by the system. Naturally, they only obey his words. Even if they are asked to die, they will commit suicide without hesitation, so there is no need to worry about the two of them being rebellious. Li Xiao shrugged his shoulders, sat on the chair, raised Erlang's legs, and raised his right hand, and Qinglian's heart fire, number 19 on the strange fire list, rose slowly. The strange fire here is very calm, not as violent as Li Xiao knows, but Li Xiao understands that all this is due to the current Dengtian Pavilion. Burned up. System, how can I quickly improve my cultivation? In this world, if he wants to gain a foothold, he must possess outstanding strength. Otherwise, even with Linglong and Niu Meng protecting him, it will be difficult for him to survive 3 episodes. According to the host's question, the system gives 2 answers. First, you can stay in Dengtian Pavilion to practice forever. With your talent, you will break through the Dou Zun realm in 10 years. Second, auction items, all items that fetch sky-high prices will be rewarded. Then wouldn't I be able to tell who I am here at a glance, that he's just a fighter, and he couldn't convince the public by setting up an auction that is famous in the Dou Qi continent. As long as you are within 500 meters of Dengtian Pavilion, even if Emperor Dou comes, he will not be able to see through your realm, or even kill you. Hearing this sentence, Li Shaoxian finally let go of his heart. In this way, as long as he doesn't leave the range of Dengtian Pavilion before he grows up, he will never be killed. Conscience System. Such a good system is rare, give it a thumbs up. End of this chapter. Chapter 3 The Amethyst Winged Lion King for Collection, Recommendation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Above the blue sky, violent energy fluctuations continuously collided back and forth, making deafening noises. Located in a wild land in the east of the Warcraft mountains, there are some high-level monsters everywhere. They gather together and worship in the direction of the cave, as if they are praying for something. The purple grudge surged like a stormy sea, and immediately set off a huge tornado as high as meters. The surrounding monsters also lay down on the ground one after another. Their faces were full of horror, and some even fainted from fright. Heavy footsteps sounded slowly in the cave, and a monster suddenly stood in front of all the monsters. This monster was huge, with a body surface of 7 or 8 meters long. It was covered with a layer of purple crystals. The sun shines brightly, quite glaring. Not only that, but the monster's head is a ferocious lion's head, with blood-red eyes glowing with strange purple light, and a huge mouth full of fangs. Above the lion's head, there is also a fiery red spiral horn, with clusters of purple flames circling around the horn. The person who came was the 6th order monster of the Warcraft mountains, the Amethyst Winged Lion King. The strength is comparable to that of the Emperor Dou Huang. The Amethyst Winged Lion King stared into the distance, with a dejected look on his face, and said, I actually made this king feel an inexplicable sense of oppression. What is this? That the subordinates under him told all the things that happened one after another. After learning about this, the Amethyst Winged Lion King became even more furious, and immediately pressed a 3rd order monster on the ground, trampling it to death. Arrogant human women not only broke into this king's territory, but even slaughtered my subordinates. This king would like to see how capital is behind their arrogance, that the Amethyst Winged Lion King is very irritable, and he does not allow humans to do whatever they want in his territory. With a pair of wings flapping slowly, its huge body actually flew up, and the purple flames made the surrounding forest start to burn. Stand up. Countless weak monsters felt the king-like coercion, and they all collapsed to the ground, whining in low voices, symbolizing endless fear. For the sake of safety, the Amethyst Winged Lion King brought all the 3 5th order monsters who had originally supported him, not only to be imposing, but also to let the opponent feel the horror of the Monster Mountain Range. Li Xiao, who was still admiring the Dengtian Pavilion, naturally didn't know that the outside world had changed. The high-level monsters in the eastern part of the Warcraft mountains grabbed their weapons and surrounded them. Linglong and Niu Meng were the first to sense the aura of the Amethyst Winged Lion King, and immediately bowed their hands and said, Lord Pavilion Master, the overlord of this place, the Amethyst Winged Lion King led a group of younger brothers here. Do you need your subordinates to take action and kill him? Hearing Linglong's prompt, Li Xiao murmured in his heart. Of course, he knew about the Amethyst Winged Lion King. It was the overlord of the Warcraft mountains, and it was a 6th order monster. Ming Dou Huang was annexed alive. Linglong, you capture it first, I will make arrangements. At present, the Dengtian Pavilion has just been established, and what is missing is the mount. The Amethyst Winged Lion King is a very good choice. What's more, Li Xiao can't transform his fighting spirit into wings. All actions must be done with his legs. This will not only waste time, but also cause unnecessary trouble. The Amethyst Winged Lion King is a 6th order monster. If it becomes his mount, he will have more face when he goes out in the future. Anyone who sees him will have to shout his name loudly. Hearing this, Linglong nodded lightly. No one is allowed to disobey the orders of the Pavilion Master, and they are rewards from the system, so naturally they will not betray the Pavilion Master. Niu Meng shrugged, originally wanted to fight, but under Linglong's cold tone, he gave up and had to follow her behind to help dispose of the corpse. High-level monsters had already gathered here, and the surrounding mercenary legions were stunned by this scene. They had never seen a scene of monsters coming out in full force, let alone all of them were above the 3rd level. The Amethyst Winged Lion King glanced at the Dengtian Pavilion below him, and he was very disdainful. Cunning human beings dare to build houses here, they really don't take this king seriously. The remaining 3 Fifth Order monsters stood on the surrounding mountains and rivers. They did not act rashly, but stared at the position of Dengtian Pavilion with deep eyes. They could all feel that there was a sense of sacredness and inviolability. This breath went straight to the soul, giving them an urge to worship. The amethyst-winged Lion King also felt the strange energy emanating from the Dengtian Pavilion, so he didn't take the lead in attacking, but stayed away and waited for an opportunity. A few more minutes passed, but there was still no trace of the other party. This made the amethyst-winged Lion King think it was an illusion, so he frowned, and resolutely shouted, "Cunning human beings, get out of here." Silent, the amethyst-winged Lion King's eyes are ferocious and cruel. He never thought that the other party would dare to ignore him. I really don't know who is the real overlord of the Warcraft Mountains. Destroy this place. At its command, the cannon fodder rushed up with their sticks, but when they were within 100 meters of Dengtian Pavilion, all the monsters felt a surge of excitement in their bodies at the same time, and they couldn't help but shudder. After the earthquake, I found that I had actually released the flood. Demonic beasts that have reached the 3rd level or above have already activated their spiritual intelligence, so they naturally know what this feeling is. Coldness, fear, and fear arise spontaneously. In the next second, their bodies were split in half, and blood sprayed out continuously like a fountain. The amethyst-winged Lion King frowned. It didn't even see how the opponent made a move, it simply killed so many monsters above the 3rd rank. The strength of the opponent was at least above the realm of Dou. Suddenly, the sky-changing blue high-heeled shoes lightly stepped in the air, and the tyrannical shock wave instantly caused the surrounding mountains to burst inch by inch. The faces of the 3 Fifth Order monsters changed drastically, and they turned around without looking back and were about to run away, but Linglong didn't make any movements, and just said calmly, "Go down." With just 2 words, the 3 Fifth Order monsters who wanted to escape couldn't control their bodies at all, and fell straight to the ground, splashing a cloud of dust. The pupils of the amethyst-winged Lion King suddenly shrank, and he yelled, "Strong fighter." Linglong's eyes were flat, looking at the amethyst-winged Lion King who had already turned pale from fright. Her face was full of disdain. A mere 6th Order monster dared to fight an axe here, it was really life and death. "Senior, who are you?" The amethyst-winged Lion King swallowed his saliva, knowing very well in his heart that the person in front of him was extremely powerful, and he couldn't handle it at all. "This place is the most important place for me to climb to the sky. You, a mere 1st-rank Dou, dare to ignore the warning and come to disturb the Qingxiu of our pavilion master. You are ordered to come here and capture you beasts and hand them over to our pavilion." The Lord's hair falls. End of this chapter. Chapter 4 Tier 6 Warcraft becomes a mount. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Tier Monster became a mount. There was a crackling sound from the bones of the amethyst-winged Lion King's body, and his expression changed accordingly. His huge body didn't even have any chance to resist. "Your Excellency, I just broke into this place unintentionally, please forgive me." As a 6th Order monster in the demonic beast mountain range, he was very clear in his heart how huge the gap between Dou and Dou was. Besides, this person didn't even move his hands before, and pressed all 3 5th-level monsters on the ground. Rubbing on the ground, this method of controlling force, how many people in the world can do it? "Here, I'm covered, understand?" The amethyst-winged Lion King nodded again and again, for fear that he might say something wrong. Understood. "But we just jumped up and haven't set foot here, so can we just pretend that we haven't been here?" Linglong said indifferently. "The airspace here is also within the scope of Dengtian Pavilion. Beasts leave their skins, geese pluck their hairs, my rules, don't you agree?" The 3 Fifth Order monsters wailed in pain, but the meridians of the bones and meridians on their bodies had long been disordered. Let alone running away now, it was a question of whether they could survive under this amazing deterrent force. The amethyst-winged Lion King could no longer manage Sanchi 21, turned around and ran away without looking back. It didn't believe that the other party would give up the protection of Dengtian Pavilion for its own sake. However, Linglong just smiled indifferently. "If you want to escape from my hands, you are not qualified yet. After all, Linglong just waved her right hand, and the amethyst-winged Lion King landed on the ground with a bang. The bones of her limbs were instantly broken, and the horn on top of her head was also shattered by the direct shock. The terrifying energy spread towards the surroundings, and even spread to the entire eastern region of the Warcraft Mountains. Not only that, the air wave generated by the Dou Zone powerhouse is so terrifying, it directly kills all monsters below the 4th rank. The broken meat is scattered all over the ground, the blood gathers into a river, and the strong smell of blood rushes to the face, which makes people want a retching. The amethyst-winged Lion King's eyes widened. He was completely terrified at this moment, and finally realized how terrifying this woman was, and now he could no longer express it in words. Meng picked up the amethyst-winged Lion King, who was scared to piss, and said, "Linglong, your attack is too cruel. The Lord of the Pavilion has explained, don't make this place dirty." "Nature." Linglong replied flatly, and then moved her fingers slightly. The minced meat that had already started to attract flies disappeared out of thin air, and even said that there was no blood at all, as if nothing happened just now. Meng dragged the amethyst-winged Lion King back to the 1st floor of Dengtian Pavilion. In order to prevent this guy from counterattacking when he was dying, he used special methods to suppress him. The amethyst-winged Lion King yelled unwillingly, "Human, let me go, or I will eat you. How dare you speak so hard when you're about to die, and don't kneel down when you see the Pavilion Master." Meng punched down hard, and the teeth of the amethyst-winged Lion King were directly shattered, and the severe pain made his voice gradually fade away. After getting smaller, it can be seen that these few people should be the masters who eat soft and not hard. The amethyst-winged Lion King calmed down quite a bit. Xiao stepped forward and wiped the broken horn on its forehead pretendingly. "Are you interested in starting a business?" "What?" That the amethyst-winged Lion King raised his head in confusion. "Become my mount and join Dengtian Pavilion, you will have unexpected gains." This sentence completely made the amethyst-winged Lion King furious, and he scolded, "Human, what status do you have to want this king to be your mount? No matter how bad this king is, he is still a strong fighting emperor, and he can be regarded as a king in the entire eastern part of the Warcraft Mountains. The Overlord, you let me be your mount, you might as well just kill me." "You sure?" "Definitely." The amethyst-winged Lion King said loudly, "Scholars can be killed but not humiliated. How can I become a human mount?" Hearing this, Xiao wiped off the blood on his right hand with a little disappointment, turned his head to look at Meng. "I'll leave it to you, let him agree at all costs. If it's really stubborn, just kill it. Then go to his cave and arrest the little amethyst-winged Lion King." "Wait. Human." Hearing that the opponent wanted to capture his cub, the amethyst-winged Lion King completely broke his guard. "Human, the hatred between you and me cannot involve the child. He is still young. What does it have to do with me?" Xiao said angrily, "When you monsters devoured humans, there were times when the other party was younger. Especially the ape is devoid of conscience. Payuan is also a monster living in the Warcraft Mountains, and its strength is only at the 1st and 2nd levels. This kind of Warcraft has no lethality, but still intimidating. Especially women without fighting ability, no matter how big or small, will become a tool for them to vent their sexual desires. This kind of monster is also the most hated by human beings." The amethyst-winged Lion King looked dignified, but the pride in his heart did not support it surrendering, and he was the overlord of the North. If he became a human mount like this, how would he survive in the future? Seeing the opponent's stubbornness, Meng directly picked up its body and slammed it hard towards the ground. This time, the amethyst-winged Lion King was smashed to pieces. Staring at him, Meng slapped the amethyst-winged Lion King's head hard with his right palm, and the pain brought by his soul made him exclaim unconsciously, "Ah! It hurts me to death, it hurts me to death. Stop, 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 it's not allowed here." Meng didn't speak, but continued to apply pressure, letting the amethyst-winged Lion King howl bitterly. Even though it was already incontinent, Meng didn't stop. "Don't do this again, I was wrong, I promise you, I promise you." In less than 5 minutes, the other party has completely confessed. This is the legendary 6th order top-level monster, the amethyst-winged Lion King. That's all. This is Meng's special ability. It uses the soul to torture the opponent. The world knows that the soul is the most fragile and the most precious. Once caught by others, the consequences will be that the soul will be scattered and the soul will never be reborn forever. Niu Meng just took advantage of this point, enough to make anyone frightened. The people he likes, or the monsters, will not end well. The amethyst-winged Lion King's eyes were dull, his limbs twitched, and he was foaming at the mouth. It was obvious that he was about to go. Li Xiao, who heard the movement, also came out of the room, and said with a little disgust, "Niu Meng, don't be so cruel next time. It will be everywhere." "Understood, Lord Pavilion Master." Niu Meng smiled honestly, and immediately slapped him up, directly waking up the comatose amethyst-winged Lion King. The amethyst-winged Lion King's pupils dilated, and tears flowed out even more disappointingly. "Human beings, this king agrees to your request." "Okay. No, I agree to the terms." The amethyst-winged Lion King has long since lost his previous arrogance, and all that remains is endless grievances. No matter what he says, he is a peak powerhouse, and he almost died in front of his subordinates. End of this chapter. Chapter 5: The Humble Amethyst-Winged Lion King. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing the words of Amethyst-Winged Lion King, Li Xiao nodded contentedly. As the saying goes, those who know the current affairs are the best. Even if it disagrees, Li Xiao has 100 ways to make it survive or die. In order to make the amethyst-winged Lion King willingly become his subordinate, Li Xiao even used the system to forcibly bind to it, thus completely becoming his own mount. The amethyst-winged Lion King looked reconciled, but what can he do? Who told the opponent's fist to be harder than his own? He can only accept his fate. Of course, the remaining 3 fifth-order monsters, Li Xiao, will not let them go. They are equivalent to the level of human fighting kings. Let them serve as the guards of the Dengtian Pavilion, and use the peak fighting kings as guards. In the mainland of Zhongzhou, there is only Dengtian Pavilion. There are 9 regions in the Duqi continent, namely, East, West, South, North, East, South, Northeast, Southwest, Northwest and Zhongzhou. There are strong men everywhere in Zhongzhou. Even the strong men of Douzong can only serve as doormen there. It is conceivable how terrifying those strong men are. Now Dengtian Pavilion is single and weak, and the strongest is no more than the peak of Douzong. It is obviously impossible to compete with those behemoths. Only by extensively exhibiting the strong can we truly stabilize the vital force of Dengtian Pavilion. The amethyst-winged Lion King was lying outside the gate of Dengtian Pavilion, and said quietly, "You must know that if you become someone else's mount, this king can't come here no matter what." The 3 fifth-order monsters looked at each other, all expressing their helplessness, but luckily the other party didn't kill them, otherwise the lifetime of hard training would become someone else's wedding dress. Now, take out all the things you have accumulated over the years, including Ling Bao, fighting skills, exercises, etc. The 4 monsters were stunned at the same time. They didn't expect that the opponent wanted to snatch the few treasures on them just after recovering them. Isn't this bullying the honest beast? However, Li Xiao didn't care about that much. They are the overlords of the Warcraft mountains, so they naturally possess extraordinary things, and they even have fighting skills that make people fight for their heads. The amethyst-winged Lion King raised his head, and took out all his belongings, with an aggrieved look on his face, which really made people laugh unkindly. Immediately afterwards, 3 fifth-level monsters also took out one after another, but the treasures they had mastered were not too many. You must know that fighting skills and exercises are suitable for human cultivation, and their monsters are not good unless they are advanced to the fighting sect. Impossible to practice human skills. These are just the backlog of many years, and I feel that they are not bad. Li Xiao nodded lightly, but he didn't see what he wanted most, so he grabbed the head of the amethyst-winged Lion King and said, "Did you hide something with me?" That the amethyst-winged Lion King swallowed subconsciously, lowered his head a little guiltily and said, "No. No, this king never lies." "Oh." Li Xiao frowned. "So, the purple spirit crystal and the accompanying purple crystal source are not yours either." As soon as these words came out, the amethyst-winged Lion King went mad. How could this guy know that he still had the purple spirit crystal and the associated amethyst source? It stands to reason that apart from its children, no one knows the existence of the accompanying amethyst source. Could it be that this human being has detected his own memory? Sure enough, human beings are the most cunning. My lord, it took me 20 years for the amethyst-winged lion to shed a small piece from my body. Did you just give it away? Are you talking to me? Li Xiao's expression froze. In an instant, a spiritual force lived in the head of the amethyst-winged lion king. Come bursts of pain, this kind of pain hits the soul, and it is so painful that it lies on the ground and rolls. Ah, this king hurts to death. I was wrong, my lord, I was wrong, I don't dare any more, here it is, here it is. Despite the cries of the amethyst-winged lion king, Li Xiao didn't stop. He didn't change his wildness. If he didn't teach him a lesson, he really didn't know who was the master. It wasn't until the amethyst-winged lion king passed out that Li Xiao withdrew his punishment. The 3 fifth-order monsters lying on the ground were already so frightened that their legs became weak, and they quickly took out all the remaining treasures, 6th grade Zheng Lingdan *10. 5th grade Tyranny Pill *5. Mysterious level high level fighting skills, Sunset Stick Technique. Earth level low level fighting skill, Wind Control. When Li Xiao saw these treasures, he nodded in satisfaction. He didn't expect that these monsters stored a lot of things, except for some 6th grade pills and high-level fighting skills. The others are not precious, and only the purple spirit crystal and the associated purple crystal source are quite rare. Coupled with his own strange fire, his reputation must have resounded throughout the entire Jiama Empire. Li Xiao took advantage of the situation to put away all the things. The system can not only help him improve his strength, but also act as a storage ring. Even if he puts the strange fire in it, the contents of the storage ring will not be burned up. Risks of these things are enough to support the first auction of items, but the current situation is how to call the powerhouses of the Jiama Empire here, solve it by force. Out of style, invite them to come. Will be looked down upon by others. Li Xiao rubbed his chin, walked on the spot, and finally settled his eyes on Niu Meng. This guy is big and thick, and he has a fleshy face. Feel the horror of Dengtian Pavilion. The Dou Zong strongman went to invite him. How much face does it take to let the Dou Zong strong do it? Niu Meng, run for me and inform all the powerful people in the Jiama Empire, whether it is Dou Wang, or some merchants, that they can come to Dengtian Pavilion for auction. If you refuse to obey, you let's see. Hearing this, Niu Meng kept beating his hands, with the corners of his mouth raised. I know the master of the pavilion, just a few fighting emperors. I will go and inform them personally. It is enough to give them face. If anyone dares to insult Dengtian Pavilion, it belongs to you. The next will twist his head off himself. Indeed, although the Dou Huang was considered the pinnacle of the Jiama Empire, it was second only to the interior of the empire. Once he went to a more powerful realm, he would find that the Dou Huang was just the entry point for the strong. Only when one becomes a Dou Zun can one be called a venerable in the Dou Qi continent. If Dou Zong could invite them in person, they would naturally feel the fear of Dengtian Pavilion, so they would feel fear in their hearts. It is enough to prove that Dengtian Pavilion is not an ordinary auction. At the same time, Linglong stayed put and concealed her own strength during the auction, so that no one could spy on her. At that time, let them know how powerful the foundation of Dengtian Pavilion is. Start with small things first, and when the opportunities are ripe in the future, you will naturally go to the Zhongzhou continent for auctions, so as to obtain higher level rewards. End of this chapter. Chapter 6 Invitation Letter. Please recommend, please collect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Garma Empire, Yunlan Sect Master Pavilion. Bursts of colorful lights flickered on both sides of the radiant hall. The originally empty hall looked extraordinarily solemn. More than 100 disciples of the Misty Cloud sect sat on the ground. Everyone looked excited and listened verbatim. Master Suzerain's experience on cultivation. The one who spoke was a woman with a peerless face. A set of plain skirts wrapped her plump and delicate body. She was holding a long sword with a strange appearance and radiating blue light. Her hair was tied into a noble phoenix hair ornament with blue hair. Her beautiful and moving face was peaceful and serene. People have an urge to stop when they see it. Yun Yun's eyes were flat, and she shared some useful knowledge for the disciples of the sect. For her, The strength of the sect has nothing to do with hard work. If there is no good teacher to teach, even if you are very talented, it is difficult to achieve great things. Yen Ran, you are really confused. Yun looked at the teenage girl in front of her, her beautiful eyes flickering with a complicated look. You shouldn't go directly to Xiao's family to divorce. Do you know how much this will do to a family? Big shame. The girl held a long sword in her hand, and her light blue dress wrapped her exquisite and delicate body to the fullest. Her plump figure was very exciting. 3,000 blue silks were randomly bound by a strand of blue satin, and finally hung down to her delicate buttocks. This person is the young master of the Misty Cloud sect, Nalen Yenran, who is also the founder of the 3-year agreement. I know, Nalen Yenran replied, cupping her hands. Teacher, tell me that sometimes one's own destiny should be controlled by oneself. I really don't like Xiao Yan, the Xiao family. That's why I went to Wutan City to divorce my marriage. Hearing this, Yun shook her head helplessly. She knew Yan Ran's character, and she would not do things that she didn't like, even if they gave her strange fire. At this moment, thunder clouds billowed above the Misty Cloud sect, and the torrential rain roared wildly. As the master of the Misty Cloud sect, Yun also felt an unprecedented sense of oppression, immediately drew out her sword, and shouted loudly, "Who dares to trespass on the Misty Yun sect?" Yun's body shook, and the wings behind her were instantly released. The wings were a little illusory, but the whole person rushed out of the hall and stared at the thunderclouds in the sky. All the powerful masters of the Yunlan sect also rushed out, watching their surroundings vigilantly, not understanding what happened. Since your excellency is here, come out. Why come to my Yunlanzong to make trouble? Yun's face was solemn. As a Douhuang powerhouse, she naturally felt that the strength of the Comer was higher than her own, and the terrifying air wave before was enough to annihilate the entire Misty Cloud sect. Niu Mengao stood above the main hall of the Misty Cloud sect, with indifferent eyes, took out a letter, and threw it towards the Misty Cloud sect ground lightly, only to see that the letter was stabbed into the ground like a knife. Yun frowned, and muttered to herself, what a terrifying control. Who is this person? Who is here, dare to act wildly in our Misty Cloud sect? I think you are itchy. Great Elder Yunling scolded angrily. Niu Meng disdained. A fighting king dares to speak wild words. Hearing the other party call himself Z, the great elder Yunling was also furious. He was a majestic great elder of the Yunlan sect, second only to the suzerain. Today, he was actually called only by a junior who doesn't know the heights of heaven and earth. If it were another person, he might have rushed to kill him. Yun immediately stopped the violent elder Yunling. Back off. Sovereign master, this person insulted my Yunlan sect. We should kill him immediately to avoid future troubles. The great elder Yunling couldn't see through this person's realm at all, and thought that the strongest was no more than the Dou Huang powerhouse. The Yunlan sect not only had the suzerain the Dou Huang, but also had so many Dou kings, plus the cloud and smoke covering the sun formation. Definitely let him come and go. Yun's expression was solemn, and she wanted to stop the great elder Yunling. But if this strong man was offended, the Yunmi zone would be wiped out in ashes. Niu Meng slapped it out, and the crisp and pleasant slap sounded suddenly. Yunling covered his red and swollen face, feeling a little at a loss for a while. Next time, if you continue to swear, you will definitely be executed. After all, Niu Meng stepped lightly on the void with his right foot, and the boulders around him burst inch by inch. Under the horrified gaze of great elder Yunling, he broke through the air and left. Although the Misty Cloud sect didn't know how to be polite this time, the Pavilion master only told him to send out the invitation, and there was no need to kill people here. Yun picked up the letter inserted in the bluestone slab, turned her head to look at the inhuman elder Yunlang, and said angrily, "Do you know that you almost killed us? Yunlang, if you dare to act recklessly next time, don't blame me. For not reminding you, I have the right to ask you to hand over the position of Great Elder." Sovereign. Great Elder Yunling was also a little flustered. He didn't understand why the suzerain suddenly became angry. This was the first time he saw the suzerain angry in so many years. Nalen Yenran ran over, worried. "Teacher, is this person very strong? Above me?" Yun replied simply. There was still a feeling of horror in his heart. but fortunately the opponent did not start a massacre, otherwise everyone on the field today would have died. Even if they go all out, how can they be the opponent of that mysterious strong man? After tearing open the envelope and seeing the writing on it, Yunyan frowned slightly. 7 days later. Warcraft Mountains. Dengtian Pavilion Auction House. I didn't expect someone to open an auction house in the Warcraft Mountains, and use that kind of strong person to deliver letters. It seems that the other party has a lot of background. Yunyan burned the envelope in her hand, glared at Yunlang, and quickly disappeared in place. No one knew exactly where she went. Not only the Yunlan sect, but also the royal family of the Jia Ma Empire accepted the invitation. Jia Xingtian, the emperor of the Jia Ma Empire, had serious eyes. He accidentally got a letter during his cultivation, and even said that he didn't even see the other party's location. Obviously, the strength of the other party is above him, and it is very likely that he will really break the barrier of the Dou Emperor and be promoted to the realm of Dou Zong. It was horrible. After Jia Xingtian brought some gold coins, he was going to go to the Warcraft Mountains to find out. He wanted to see who this person was and whether he possessed the Douzong realm. Alchemy King Guha also got the news at this time. As the only 6th grade alchemist in the Jia Ma Empire, although his strength is only in the realm of Dou Wang, his status as an alchemist has led to his high status. He even said that Jia Xingtian saw him also have to be polite, but after reading the other party's letter, I was also very surprised. Furukawa cupped his hands and bowed. I don't know what auction house the Dengtian Pavilion this senior is talking about. Why have I never heard of it before? Niu Meng said indifferently, you don't need to hear about it, you just need to arrive at the destination in 7 days. If you break the contract, you will bear the consequences. Hearing this, Furukawa's expression was solemn. He didn't expect the opponent to be so tough, but because of his strength, Furu didn't dare to refuse, otherwise he wouldn't be able to beat him even with his own fighting king realm. The junior knows, and will arrive at the Dengtian Pavilion on time in 7 days. End of this chapter. Chapter 7 Accompanied Amethyst Source For Collection, Recommendation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Monster Mountains, Dengtian Pavilion. Niu Meng, who had sent out all the invitation letters, had already returned and reported everything that happened to the pavilion master. After hearing this, Li Xiao couldn't help but sigh with emotion. As expected of a strong Dou Zong, B rank is high. If he becomes a Dou Zong strong in the future, he may be even crazier than him. The next step is to wait for the auction in 7 days despite the changes. At this moment, Li Xiao can't wait to see the rewards brought to him by the system. The fact that the strong are respected and the weak are humble in the Duki continent cannot be changed. Only when you become stronger can you get respect. Now I am just a small fighter, and I haven't even touched the threshold of a fighter. Behind me are big fighters, fighting spirits, fighting kings, and fighting emperors. Each realm will kill thousands of geniuses. The purity of the bloodline determines the future destiny. The reason why the several major families in Zhongzhou have produced a large number of geniuses mainly comes from the bloodline of their ancestors. All strong men who break through the realm of Emperor Dou will change the blood inheritance of their descendants, so as to make their descendants even stronger. However, in the past 1,000 years, the blood of Emperor Dou has gradually weakened, and finally became a situation that is difficult for the world to compare with, and finally killed all. The strong people accumulated for countless generations in the realm of Dou Sheng. Just like the most popular passage today, there is Yao Lao in the endless fire realm, but Yu Shaojiang is not seen in the god realm. Character is still very important. Li Xiao shrugged and said softly, go and prepare the items for auction. From now on, no one is allowed to leave the Warcraft Mountains, including the Amethyst-Winged Lion King. Yes, Pavilion Master. At this moment, Linglong walked in with a tray on which were placed several porcelain vases and a purple spar. Pavilion Master, the source of the accompanying purple crystal and the purple spirit crystal have been obtained, and I will leave it to you to deal with. After finishing speaking, Linglong offered it with her expressionless hands. The Amethyst-Winged Lion King is a very talented beast, otherwise it would be difficult for it to become a 6th-order monster. This associated amethyst source is also produced. Since this associated amethyst source stayed in the belly of the Lion King for an extremely long time, the pure energy contained in it can be quite magnificent. When a small animal grows to a fourth-order monster, this associated amethyst source only needs to remove it. If it is devoured, it can directly become a fifth-order monster, and the purple fire in its body will be more tyrannical than other amethyst-winged lions that have not devoured the associated amethyst source, especially for those who practice the fire attribute skills. The benefits they bring are also positive and optimistic. Back then, Yao Lao broke into the caves of the 8 amethyst winged lion kings but failed to see the associated amethyst source. One can imagine how precious these jade bottles are. The income brought by the purple spirit crystal is not too high. The main reason why Yun went to the east of the Warcraft mountains to seek the purple spirit crystal was for her disciple, Nalan Yenran, but he didn't expect to be hit by the sealing technique of the amethyst-winged lion king, otherwise he wouldn't have ended up in such a situation. Li Xiao picked up a bottle of Companion Amethyst Source and looked it up and down. When he opened the bottle, a wave of fiery air swept out. Just taking a sip made people feel like they couldn't stop. It is worthy of being the most precious treasure of today, the accompanying amethyst source. Li Xiao babbled. He was not a master of the fire attribute technique, so naturally he couldn't use it, otherwise the violent power generated by the accompanying amethyst source would be enough to destroy his extraordinary meridians. But at that time, even if the Dou powerhouse is present, it may be difficult to save him. After collecting all of them, Li Xiao reminded, 7 days later, the Dengtian Pavilion auction will officially start. From now on, everyone is not allowed to slack off to prevent thieves. Without my order, no one is allowed to enter the Dengtian Pavilion in advance. Tianga, those who disobey the order, kill. As ordered, the 2 strong fighters of the fighting sect bowed their hands and bowed at the same time. They didn't dare to disobey the Lord's order. After finishing the next auction items, the 2 and 4 beasts sat outside the Dengtian Pavilion, ready to wait for the real day. In a few days, the amethyst-winged lion king curled up in the corner aggrieved. The companion amethyst yuan was left for his cub, but he didn't expect it to be taken away by this bastard. It's really a dog. However, Li Xiao also promised it that if the cub is really promoted to the fourth-order monster, he will personally reward the cub of the amethyst-winged lion king with a transformation pill, so that it can practice normally like humans. Naturally, the amethyst-winged lion king would not refuse. Instead, he was as happy as a child. If he could really get the transformation pill, it would be much better than the accompanying amethyst source. Grade, pills are not something you can eat if you want, and the materials needed to refine a grade, pill are quite precious. Although the rank of the elixir is not very high, but for Warcraft, this elixir is even more precious than the 9th grade elixir. Warcraft are born with a long lifespan, but their cultivation talent is not as good as that of humans. After possessing the transformation pill to form a human being, relying on the long lifespan and human cultivation talent, even a pig can practice for thousands of years. It can also become the top existence in the mainland. This is also why Warcraft's obsession with transformation pills has far surpassed the associated amethyst source of heaven, material, and earth treasures. 7 days passed in a flash. The top 10 powerhouses of the Jia Ma Empire, except for Yun Shan, who could not escape seclusion, and Heibadong, the Ice Emperor who had disappeared for decades, were basically all present. They are all strong men who have been notified. With the mentality of taking a look, they want to have a strong background in ascending to the Qinglian Pavilion. It is really violent to let the strong Dou Zong deliver the letter. Yun wore tulle, and she was as beautiful as a 9-day fairy. Her body exuded a faint fragrance of rose petals, and her white and flawless thighs were exposed, making Furukawa beside her already salivating. Pill King Furukawa has always been secretly in love with Yun, the patriarch of the Yunlan sect, but Yun is indecisive. If it wasn't for Xiao Yan, she might never find her other half in her life. Sect Master Yun, long time no see, your strength has become stronger again. Yun turned around slowly and said, Pill King is absurd, didn't we meet a month ago? Furukawa chuckled and said, 1 day is like 3 autumns, and 1 month is like several autumns. Hearing this, Yun didn't open her mouth to speak again. Although he had a high status in the Jia Ma Empire, he was still not as good as her Yunlan sect suzerain. It is, a 6th-order beast, the amethyst-winged lion king, that I don't know who was exclaiming, and everyone's eyes were all attracted. even Yun Yun, Jia Xingtian and others, who were the Dou Huang, also cast their eyes in amazement. The amethyst-winged Lion King was lazily taking a nap under the steps of the Dengtian Pavilion, not caring that many experts from the Jiama Empire had already gathered around him. End of this chapter. Chapter 8 Eye-popping. Please collect, please recommend. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone was stunned. Their expressions at this moment were like the third emoji package in your mobile phone, and they all froze in place. Some people are even rubbing their red eye sockets to make sure they are not dazzled, but it didn't. That is indeed the existence of the overlord of the Warcraft mountains, the Sixth Order Warcraft, the amethyst-winged Lion King. The purple flames rose gradually, suddenly breaking out from the body of the amethyst-winged Lion King at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the fiery air waves made all the masters below the Dou Huang dumbfounded. What is the origin of this auction, to treat Sixth Order monsters as watchdogs? It's appalling. Jia Xingtian, the emperor of the Jiama Empire, pursed his dry lips, subconsciously glanced at the 3 Fifth Order peak monsters that were staring at him, and the emotions in his heart were once again sublimated. They have all heard of the monsters in the eastern region. These 3 5th level monsters belong to the amethyst-winged Lion King, and they are also the overlords of this place. Also feel a headache. I didn't expect such an incredible auction to appear in the small Warcraft forest. Now I am very curious and want to meet the pavilion master here. Qinglian Dixinhuo straightened the wrinkles of her clothes, stared at the 3 big characters on the plaque, and said softly and gracefully, Dengtian Pavilion, I have practiced alone for dozens of years, and I have never heard of such an auction house in the mainland. King Furukawa smiled and said, maybe a strong man from a big family is looking for fun. It's not impossible. Sect Master Yun, don't be too surprised. Yeah. Yun nodded and nodded. What King Pil said is not unreasonable. I don't know when the gate of Dengtian Pavilion will be opened. All the people gathered shook their heads. They only received the notice and arrived at the Dengtian Pavilion on time, but the specific opening time was not informed in advance. Yan Shi, the Lion King, one of the top 10 powerhouses of the Jiama Empire, came to Gu He, Lao He, are you sure that the things here have what we want? Or are you here just to save face? Furukawa sighed, naturally, it's a bit of an understatement. The opponent's strength is not bad, and he pretends to be someone from our Jiama Empire. Naturally, such a strong person cannot be offended. Otherwise, the team of strong people in the Jiama Empire may shrink. Dan Wang Guha naturally couldn't see through Niu Meng's cultivation, he could only feel the surging aura from him, but as a pharmacist, he had come into contact with countless Dou Huang powerhouses, so he could naturally break through the mystery. After careful consideration, Gu He decided to bring the top 10 powerhouses of the Jiama Empire, the Lion King Yan Shi, and the Windrunner Feng Li, to find out. However, he did not expect that so many Dou Huang powerhouses would come here today. More, even the royal family came, simply unbelievable. However, it can also be seen from this that the strength of Dengtian Pavilion is absolutely impressive. Crunch, the heavy door was slowly pushed open. Niu Meng, who was Li Zhao's right-hand man, came out with big strides. Every time he took a step, the whole ground would tremble, causing all the beasts to worship. Everyone restrained their emotions, and all looked towards the senior. King Furukawa blinked, and immediately bowed his hands in salute. I've seen senior in Xia Danwang Furu. I don't know, senior, did you open the Dengtian Pavilion here? Niu Meng's eyes were deep, and he said calmly, I'm just a thug, and the owner of the Dengtian Pavilion has other people. However, the owner of the pavilion has ordered that the first round of auction will officially start in half an hour, and I hope that everyone will try not to be surrounded by hundreds of people around the auction house. Within meters. These monsters were captured by us to act as guards, so don't worry about them. Hearing these words, everyone gave shocking glances. Using a 6th Order monster as a guard, what a waste of money. Could it be that this Dengtian Pavilion came from Zhongzhou? Simply outrageous. But it also made them fearful. Dengtian Pavilion is definitely not an existence they can afford. If they are not careful, they may die. Yun, the patriarch of Yunlan sect, is even more curious about Dengtian Pavilion, full of mystery. She also wanted to see what was different about the items auctioned by Dengtian Pavilion this time. It would be great if there was something she needed, I just don't know if the money brought this time is enough. Time passed by every minute and every second, and everyone's hearts were in their throats. The four monsters around them kept staring at them, making them feel a little uncomfortable. The amethyst-winged lion curled his lips, and sneered in his heart, a group of ignorant human beings. If it wasn't for the matter that the pavilion master agreed to this king, how could this king become a watchdog? Bah, guard. Night time, the moon is bright and the wind is cold, the time has finally come. In the eyes of everyone expecting, the door of the auction house was pushed open again, but this time it was not Niu Meng who appeared just now, but a stunningly beautiful woman in white, holding a sword in her arms. The stunningly beautiful woman has a delicate face and a cold temperament, and she is looking at this side with cold eyes. Everyone looked at her with a fierce killing intent, and the whole air seemed to freeze. Everyone, it's time for the auction house, please. Ling Long made a gesture of invitation with one hand, and immediately led everyone into the first floor of Dengtian Pavilion, and he reminded, first, deceit is not allowed in Dengtian Pavilion, and all strong people who conduct auctions here must abide by the rules. Second, you are not allowed to fight with each other. Anyone who ignores the rules will be driven away by Dengtian Pavilion. If you refuse to obey, then it will be a matter of life and death. After saying the word life and death, the surrounding air became much colder, and some low-level fighting kings, Dou Ling, trembled even more, their bodies trembling. Third, whoever has the highest auction price wins. If one party fails to produce the corresponding gold coins, they will be disqualified from the auction and will not be allowed to enter the Dengtian Pavilion within 10 years. Fourth, Dengtian Pavilion will be cleaned up for a month after the auction. Everyone needs to leave as soon as possible within 10 days. At the same time, fighting is not allowed within a radius of miles. Anyone who violates the order will be punished. Everyone looked solemnly, but no one questioned it face to face. They had no reason to refuse the rules set by others. What's more, if the other party is angered, maybe they can make him fly into ashes and annihilate with one finger. Into the hall, everyone's pupils contracted again. The first floor of such a magnificent auction made people swallow their saliva. I'm afraid that even the Xiao Empire's palace doesn't have this kind of treatment in such a building, especially every chair around is made of high-quality sandalwood, worth at least over 10,000. It is conceivable that the magnificence of this Dengtian Pavilion is far beyond their imagination, and they are more certain in their hearts that the people behind it definitely come from the Zhongzhou continent. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The auction officially begins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Whether it is temperament or architecture, they are among the best in the world. Even the experienced Douhuang powerhouse can't help but sigh with emotion for the architecture here, especially the auction table standing proudly in the center, all made of natural crystal, showing luxury and strength. Pil King Furukawa asked, Senior, do you know where we are sitting? As the only 6th-grade pharmacist in the Xiao Empire, his status was second only to the Douhuang powerhouse, and some Douhuang even owed him favors. If he sat with some low-level people, it would be humiliating to his image. Ling Long said coldly, anyone can sit on the first floor, but on the second floor, people with assets of 2,000 million are required to move in. For the third floor, at least, million gold coins are required. Heard the words, Dan Wang Furukawa frowned slightly. He didn't expect Dengtian Pavilion to have such a rule. He thought it was based on his status to allocate boxes, but it turned out to be based on his own assets. His assets combined were only 6,000 million. Compared with the emperor's family, it's not even a star. However, he still followed Senior Ling Long to a private room on the second floor. Seeing the luxurious room and the continuous influx of fighting spirit around him made him even more convinced that the cultivation here would be 5 times that of the outside world. If there are 3 floors, it can't be 30 times. Pil King Furukawa's eyes were full of blazing heat. It is worthy of being an auction house where even 6th-order monsters should look at the door, and it really deserves its reputation. Other strong men also came here. They used their mental power to investigate, but the moment they touched the wall, they felt dizzy as if they had been hit by a car. I didn't expect that every item here has a special individual mark. What a terrifying ability. Yen Shi was shocked. It's a little bit different from what we thought, but it doesn't affect it. Let's see what the first lot of Dengtian Pavilion will be. Furukawa slowly fanned the bone fan in his hand, and said with a smile, some fighting spirits could only sit in the hall on the first floor because of their social status, and some fighting masters even came here to find out when they learned that there was an auction house in the Warcraft mountains. However, after seeing a few monsters outside Dengtian Pavilion, they all gave up the idea of picking up leaks. The golden light flashes. Linglong stands out in front of everyone, as she raised her slender fingers. An exquisite box slowly appeared on the shelf where the items were placed. When the box is opened, the piece is the size of a fist. Irregular sharp purple spirit stones are revealed. When they saw that it was an ordinary spar, everyone complained. How could such a big auction house only auction a purple spar? Are you kidding me? This group of short-sighted people naturally didn't know what it was, but in the box on the second floor, the group of strong men had already revealed a trace of surprise. The spar hanging on Yinyan's chest also became hotter and hotter. Her pretty face was slightly reddened by the heat, and she could only press it down slightly with her hands, looking at the strange spar in the box with amazement. As a Douhuang powerhouse, she naturally knew what it was. Not only that, Jia Xingtian, Chairman Fa Ma and others also recognized what it was. It turned out that the amethyst-winged Lion King took off one piece in 20 years, the amethyst crystal stone. Although the purple spirit crystal is just a stone, it can be used to produce elixir that enhances strength, and it is also a precious medicinal material. Except for the purple crystal-winged Lion King, other monsters in the world have no ability to produce purple spirit crystal. This is also why there are very few people who own purple spirit crystal. Pill King Furukawa licked his lips. Good thing, it seems that it should belong to the 6th order magic beast amethyst-winged Lion King at the door, but it has also become a thing of Dengtian Pavilion. Hehehe. Lao He, are you interested too? Yen Shi said carelessly. It's natural. Furukawa nodded, and said with a gentleman's smile, amethyst is a rare thing that can't be found, and only the amethyst-winged Lion King can produce it in the world, and the degree of treasure cannot be compared with gold coins. Measured. If no one snatches it, this purple spirit crystal will be mine. Presumably those people also know that it is not a clear move to offend a 6th-grade alchemist. Yen Shi and Feng Li looked at each other, and laughed heartily at the same time. That's right, the influence brought by a 6th-grade pharmacist is not something ordinary people can afford, and even Dou Huang has to give him a little bit of face. Linglong opened her mouth slowly. I think some people in the crowd have already seen what it is. That's right. It is the purple spirit crystal that the amethyst-winged Lion King took 20 years to drop from his body. Carrying it can not only speed up the cultivation speed, it can also be made into a pill, which is an indispensable thing in a certain recipe. As soon as these words came out, the audience suddenly became much quieter, and immediately exclaimed again and again, it turns out that this is the violet spirit crystal. No wonder it was a little familiar when I saw it at first. So it is. I couldn't help but feel astonished. The first lot turned out to be such a treasure, which is a bit interesting. The following items must be of higher quality. Seeing that everyone was discussing, Linglong spoke again. Since everyone already knows the value of this purple spirit crystal, the starting price is 20 gold coins. As soon as this sentence was said, the powerhouses on the first floor waved their hands one after another. Obviously, they did not expect the first auction price of this purple spirit crystal to be so expensive. If the auction continues, it will not exceed 1,030,000. Pill King Furukawa raised his right hand first, and raised the price. Furukawa naturally knew in his heart that there were still people brave enough to snatch what he wanted. Sure enough, under the price increase of the 6th-grade pharmacist, except for those Dou Huang powerhouses, the rest chose to give up. There was no need for them to offend Pill King Furukawa just because of a purple spirit crystal. Just when Alchemy King Furukawa thought he had the chance to win, Fa Ma, the president of the Alchemy Association, suddenly held up his corresponding number sign, 35. Hearing these words, Gu He immediately turned his head to stare at President Fa Ma. His eyes were full of anger. A mere 5th-rank alchemist, even robbed him. Isn't this a moth to the flame? The old man of the Nalan family, Nalan Jie's mouth overflowed with a smile. Sure enough, alchemists are very interested in the hard-won treasures of heaven and earth, so naturally they don't want to miss them. 40. Gu He waved his hand, and directly offered a price far higher than Chairman Fa Ma. Jia Xingtian moved his glasses, pressed Fa Ma beside him, frowned and said, "There is no need to continue adding, the Alchemist Association has no need to offend a 6th-grade alchemist." President Fa Ma sighed and said, "Okay, let's listen to you." Although he wanted this purple spirit crystal very much, there was no need to offend Gu He, the alchemy king of the 6th-grade alchemist, and behind Gu He was the behemoth of the Misty Cloud sect. End of this chapter. Chapter 10 Snatching Earth-Level Intermediate Physical Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Furukawa crossed his arms, his eyes flashed with contempt. This purple spirit crystal belongs to him. In a certain box on the 2nd floor, Yun pursed her red lips, and raised her right hand subconsciously, because this purple spirit crystal was also useful to her. How can I just ignore it, now that I have finally come across it? It must be taken down. 45 gold coins. Furukawa almost went berserk, but someone dared to snatch the purple spirit crystal with him, so he wanted to see who had eaten the heart and gall, and was so lawless. However, after seeing that it was the master of the Yunlong sect in the first box, Furukawa's arrogance was directly offset by a lot. Everyone knows that he has always maintained admiration for Yun, the patriarch of the Yunlong sect. Since the moment he saw Yun, Gu He has been unable to extricate himself from her. Furukawa tidied up his clothes, and said politely, "Sect Master Yun is also interested in this piece of purple spirit crystal?" "Yeah." Yun nodded slightly. "This purple spirit crystal is of great use to me, and I hope the Pill King can give me some favors, and I owe you a favor." Furukawa lowered his eyebrows slightly, but the woman he loves wants this purple spirit crystal so urgently, how could he take away her love with a knife? Driven by love, Gu He resolutely gave up this purple spirit crystal to Yun, the patriarch of the Misty Cloud sect. Yun nodded gratefully towards him. "Thank you so much, King Pill. I hope King Pill can refine a pill for me in the future." Furukawa's expression was weird, and he always felt that there was something weird about it, but he couldn't think of anything wrong. But soon he knew that no matter what price he paid, as long as he could make Sect Master Yun happy, all his efforts would be worthwhile. Linglong looked around and asked, 45 gold coins, is there anyone who wants to increase the price? Everyone in the field shook their heads. Although they could afford 45 gold coins, if they offended the Misty Cloud sect because of this incident, everything would be insignificant. 45 million once. 4 million twice. Although Linglong is already very satisfied with this price, but after all, this is something that the master of the pavilion put up for auction. If there is more, why not do it? It can be seen that no one is willing to raise the price anymore. Linglong directly hit the auction hammer. 45 gold coins, deal. Let us congratulate Miss Yun, the patriarch of the Misty Cloud sect in room 45, who bought this purple spirit crystal with, gold coins. Yun nodded gracefully. The next second lot became the object of everyone's eyes, and they all began to wonder what the next lot would be. At least it was more precious than purple spirit crystal. Sure enough, a strange scroll reappeared, and a circle of blue mist filled the scroll, making it impossible for people to pry into the mystery. This is a fighting skill sealed by special means, and only the strong can open it with their own strength. Everyone, the next auction is the Earth-level intermediate movement fighting skill, 3000 shadow clones. Linglong reminded softly, after learning this fighting skill, you can transform into 3000 phantom clones, so as to play a key role in the battle. Before the enemy discovers your real body, you can kill them. What? There are such strange fighting skills. There was a sudden commotion in the auction hall, and everyone looked forward intently. At this moment, the eyes flickered, like many lightning flashes. I didn't expect that Dengtian Pavilion would actually auction the middle-level fighting skills of the Earth level, which is simply appalling. You must know that in the Duki continent, only the Douhuang and above can possess the Earth-level skills, and these low-level people are not qualified to practice at all. Whether it is the price or the degree of risk, it is beyond your imagination. My God, is this the strength of Dengtian Pavilion? Such a good thing is not put at the end, but the second one appears. It's terrible. People were amazed. Senior, is this really an Earth-level middle-level physical combat skill? Why is it placed in the second round of auction? Could it be that there will be higher auction items next? Some people were puzzled and asked questions. Ling Long said, "It's natural, there are so many earth-level mid-level physical combat skills here, so naturally they can't be put in the last place for auction." As soon as the words came out, everyone exclaimed, "Tall tone. There are so many ground-level fighting skills, even the Zhongzhou forces dare not say that. What is the origin of this Dengtian Pavilion? Where is the Pavilion Master? Why haven't I seen him since the beginning? The starting price is 80 gold coins, everyone please increase the price. I'll offer 85 gold coins." Someone raised a placard to make an offer. 90 million gold coins. 100 million gold coins. The price soon reached 1 million, causing a sensation in the original auction house. Naturally, Jia Xingtian is not polite. Earth-level mid-level physical combat skills are something that can never be found. If you just give up like this, you will probably be blamed and woke up from your dreams. Not only that, but other Douhuangs have also joined this auction. For them, even the peak Douhuang will be interested in the mid-level body fighting skills. If they succeed in training, they can summon 3,000 shadow clones are definitely a big killer. It completely restored that sentence, killing people invisible, and getting away with white blades. 500 million gold coins. A fighting emperor in black resolutely raised the price, directly increasing the original 100 million by 5 times. There was a sudden commotion in the auction house. It's 500 million at once. This house has a gold mine. I'm afraid this fighting skill will fall into the hands of the rich and powerful again. Yeah. In box no, on the second floor, a woman in plain clothes raised her lips slightly. Since everyone is so interested, let me join in the fun. 520. Dou Huang from the Izumo Empire trembled slightly, turned his head and stared indifferently at the women in box no, his eyes filled with murderous intent. "People from the Heavenly Snake Mansion, I didn't expect you to come here." It's only natural." Lumen, the Douhuang powerhouse of the Heavenly Snake Mansion, shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile, "Senior Dengtian Pavilion invited me personally. If you don't come, wouldn't it be disrespectful?" The Emperor Dou of the Izumo Empire had a ferocious face. Since these people insisted on robbing him from the Izumo Empire, then they should not hold back. 800 million. As a Douhuang powerhouse, he possesses quite a lot of resources. Moreover, behind him is the entire Izumo Empire. If he brings this exercise back, His Majesty will look at him with admiration, and even say that he is allowed to practice together. Impossible, however, it is naturally impossible for the powerful Jia Ma Empire to hand over this local middle-level physical combat skill to the Yun Empire. End of this chapter.